Hey Virgo, this is your reading for April 2023. If you're anything like me, you are wondering how we are already 1/3 through the year. Astrologically speaking, we are technically in a new zodiacal year because we are in Aries season, which is the first sign. So there's actually a lot of new energy in the month of April. And while this energy is really exciting, it's really dynamic, it can at times also kind of serve like a double-edged sword because we have a solar eclipse happening at the end of this month, the day before Mercury goes retrograde. Both of these things can be a bit disruptive to our daily lives. It's nothing to dread or worry about, but I would definitely recommend getting what you need to get done this month early on because things could get a little complicated as we progress into the month. For you, Virgo, there's a lot of emphasis on exchange, and whether that is an exchange of energy, finances, emotions, intimacy, like all of these different things that could represent exchange and even transformation. This is a very transformative month for you, being an Aries season. There's a lot of really beautiful stuff that is taking place for you. We do also have a very lucky day on April 11th. We have Jupiter coming together with the Sun in Aries. And again, this kind of represents something that you have been tending to, maybe giving back to you in some way. There's definitely the potential for like breakthroughs or paradigm shifts happening around that time. So very exciting energy overall. But yeah, there's definitely a big dynamic in the month of April. Before we get too far into this month's video, for those of you who are brand new to this channel, my name is Michael, and I utilize tarot and tropical astrology to intuit monthly forecasts for your zodiac sign. For those of you who are ready for a deep dive, you can find links for personal readings and distance Reiki sessions in the description of this video, where you can also find links to all of my other social media accounts and the accompanying blog post. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you don't ever miss out on what's in the cards for you. All right, Virgo, as I'm shuffling these cards, I'll spend a little more time looking at the astrology for you. I do also have the astrology blog linked in the description of this video if you want to follow along. I think something really interesting to kind of note is that we do have a full moon in Libra. This is happening on the 6th. And for you, this could really be representing changes to your finances. And I was kind of talking about that in the intro of this video. There's something that's giving back to you. Financially, this could be a really powerful month for you, Virgo. You could be becoming very, very abundant. There could be a lot of changes that are happening, and maybe even in your workplace or what it is that you do for work. There could be a lot of blessings that are giving you more money, whether that is a promotion or just something that is very abundant for you. But the thing with this energy is that even though it's very positive, it's like it might come with you being very, very busy in the month of April. You might have to work. We have the Page of Swords, followed by the Knight of Pentacles. And so it's like you're learning as you're going, you're being very methodical. I feel like my Virgos are getting a lot done in the month of April. And you are getting a lot done in a very short amount of time. And I feel like you've already been in this energy. Maybe you've been learning or studying or meditating with the Page of Swords here, really sharpening your mind. And now you're going into this Knight of Pentacles, which is very much about moving forward and getting the job done, being very diligent, doing your due diligence. But I do feel like at some point with the Ten of Wands, you're kind of getting to this point of like, wow, I'm really managing a lot of different kind of projects, or there's just a lot more energy that is being required of me than I realize. And I want to tell you to be careful of burnout. Or just be aware you're going to be very, very busy this month. Don't overextend yourself. Don't overbook yourself, especially since we do have Mercury going retrograde. While that does technically begin on the 21st, Mercury will appear to be moving backwards in the sky. It starts to slow down before it stops and moves backwards. That's the pre-shadow period, and that actually begins on April 7th. So even after the first week in April, you might start to feel things are kind of slowing down, or they might start to feel a little bit heavier with the Ten of Wands, and you may need to prioritize things. You may need to let certain projects go or kind of prioritize whatever it is that you're working on, maybe over other relationships or other tasks that you're trying to get done. You really need to be wise with how you delegate your time and energy. And don't feel bad about asserting those boundaries either. And maybe there's even someone who could potentially help you with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish this month, Virgo. But I do feel like there is this abundance. I do feel like something is changing and it feels like it's really helping you plant seeds for your future. We have the Strength card. Very, very beautiful here. I feel like you're very composed. You know? It feels like there's a lot that's falling on your shoulders this month, Virgo, but it's like I'm not actually getting a sense of you being overwhelmed. Maybe you have moments of it, but it's like you have this very calm sense of like, nope, this is just this month. It's kind of a crazy month. I just got to do what I got to do. I really do have that peace with you, which is interesting because Virgo tends to be a bit of an anxious or even neurotic sign at times. Although I find that when Virgo is working, it's able to be a lot more calm. The energy is able to be focused and channeled into something. So maybe that's why there's still this flow. There's still this forward moving energy, right? And we have the Six of Cups for the future. Interesting. This actually makes a lot of sense to me because we have Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Taurus. And for you, this can represent travel. And while Mercury in Taurus in the ninth house for you, which is travel, higher education, can often represent travel delays, it is also like a reflective energy. And so maybe you are reconnecting with a place you once lived or once traveled to with the Six of Cups. There's something about coming back to this place that feels kind of nostalgic, kind of sweet to me. Or maybe you're just thinking about it a lot. Maybe you're just reminiscing a lot. And maybe that's why this month feels kind of busy. It feels like, honestly, you have just enough time to get done what you need to get done. And you are going to have to say no to certain things. But there's a lot of growth here. Yeah, King of Pentacles. There is a lot of growth. You're building an empire, Virgo. And it's almost like, I think of the expression like Rome wasn't built in a day, but there is some major progress, some major strides that you are taking this month. And you're finding a lot of stability. And I feel like the more we get into Taurus season, which will be from April 20th to like May 20th, something around there. It feels like you're coming into a very powerful position. And again, some of you could be getting a promotion. Some of you could be advancing in your career in some way. Or maybe even becoming your own boss, stepping into an entrepreneurial role, or your business is growing. But again, it does take work, but you have that drive. You have this sort of momentum that is building, okay? And I mean, we even have Venus entering into Gemini, which is the same day that we have Sun and Jupiter coming together, as well as Venus and Pluto working together on the 11th, April 11th. We have Venus entering into Gemini. And for you, Virgo, that could really be blessing your career or your role or public image. And I really do get this sense you're getting this feeling of like how far I've come. I've come so far. I think that's part of this Six of Cups, right? I almost heard it. I've come so far. That's the message I get for you, Virgo. You've come so far. And I think things are really at a turning point for you this month as well. whether there are things that are manifesting in the month of April or they are kind of beginning to germinate in some way. I'm definitely getting a sense of harvest, excuse me. And maybe some of you are quite literally planting things as well. I'm looking at the plant in the Six of Cups. We have the King of Pentacles. Maybe some of you are quite literally getting your hands in the dirt, but I feel like metaphorically you are doing a lot of sowing right now, and maybe there are some investments that are paying off, and that's why you're able to do this. You're able to invest in things that you really, really care about, which is beautiful to me. Are there any other messages for Virgo? Any other messages for Virgo? Show us clearly, please. The Hierophant. So, yeah, interesting. This is also Taurus energy. I really do feel like the later half of April is very beautiful and very spiritual as well. Um, I almost get the sense of like you're coming back to the heart of why it is you do what you do, or getting back to what's really important in your life. Like you're getting a very big picture view of things, or you're reminding the big picture, remembering the big picture in your life. And I feel like this, for a lot of you, is about reconnecting with your spirituality, or connecting with your spirituality in a really deep way. I actually get the message here, back to the basics. And I get this message often, not all, like certainly not in all the readings or with all my clients, but it's like I sometimes get this message, back to the basics. And it basically just means like going back to the sort of rituals or routines that you know work for you. It's almost like starting over, going back to beginner's mind, especially if you've been in sort of like a heavy space or things have just felt sort of stagnant. It's almost like going back to what you know works for you, and kind of going back to a time when things felt simpler, or they just felt very clear. There's a lot of clarity that you are gaining this month, Virgo. And I think that that's kind of with this Ten of Wands. You've been carrying a lot of burdens, you're working really, really hard, or things have just felt very cumbersome. It's like you're kind of shedding what's unnecessary this month and sort of lightening your own energy. You're lightening the load. What else do we have for Virgo? I'm going to pull some oracle cards for you now, too. Any other messages that I have for Virgo? Show us clearly, please. Any other messages for Virgo? I'm going to pull an animal card here. Wow! Yeah, we have the frog. And why this is so interesting is because I was literally just talking about this energy of like, you've grown, you've gone through a transformation, and now you're returning to the pond. You know, you're going back to the place you've come from, but you're coming back there with like a more evolved or more developed sense of what you believe or who you are. And that's kind of the thing. Like, it feels like, yes, there's this starting over, but it's not like you're back to step one. You still have everything you've gained. You have experience. You've grown in a lot of ways, and you are returning to something. And maybe, again, quite literally, some of you could be returning home, or you are just reconnecting. You're going back to the basics again, but you're seeing it from a more evolved perspective. So that's really, really interesting. Really cool to see that card come up for you, Virgo. And there's just a lot of healing with this card as well. Are there any other animal messages for Virgo? Any other messages or energies for Virgo to embody? Wow, we have the deer. Beautiful new beginnings. And like, very peaceful. That's what I mean. Like, I feel like there is this sense of peace to you this month. And oftentimes when we see the deer, there is this connection to nature, which is funny because I was talking about maybe some of you are literally planting things. For those of you who are in the northern hemisphere, maybe you are planting some seeds for this spring, whether this is literal or metaphoric. But I feel like there's this new life here. There's a lot of fertility. There's a lot of calm. And, you know, deer are prey animals. They are very sensitive. They are very, very attuned to their environment. So if you ever do feel overwhelmed, make sure that you ground yourself. And that's why spending time in nature could be really, really important for you this month too. But overall, I just see like a lot of beauty and like even comfort. Like I feel like you are taking comfort in whatever it is that you are working on or whatever it is that you are building this month. It doesn't feel that stressful to me, which honestly kind of surprises me because again, we are in Aries season. It's a very fast moving energy. Um, and we do have an eclipse this month as well. And again, eclipses can bring some disruptions. And that's not to say that there won't be anything like that happening for you either. But it's like, regardless of what happens, you have this very strong sense of peace. So that's really, really exciting and just nice to see. I'm going to pull one more card for you, Virgo. I'm going to pull from the Moonology Oracle. I do also have all of the decks in the description box down below if you are ever curious about the decks that I use. I get asked that question a lot. What are the messages for Virgo? What are the messages for Virgo? Any other words of wisdom? Any other advice for Virgo? Show us clearly, please. Show us clearly, please. So this was the card I just took a peek at. We have balance, spirituality, and practicality, the full moon in Pisces. So when I see the full moon in Pisces, it's like a very dreamy time. It's a very spiritual time. Again, I feel like some of you are going back to magical or spiritual practices that are very nourishing to you, but it's also like you're putting things to action. You're not just getting lost in your dreamscape. You're not just being idle here. You're being very, very practical and taking practical steps or actionable steps towards achieving your dreams. But that's a really, really beautiful energy here and also quite romantic, especially for you, Virgo. I actually do want to pull. Is there anything for relationships? I knew I was forgetting something here. Anything for relationships for Virgos this month? Wow, we have the Emperor, Aries energy, 10 of Pentacles. So there could actually be a lot of abundance coming in through somebody else this month. Very, very interesting. Or like you are calling in this energy. It's like you're either in a relationship that's becoming very, very established. Maybe you're even moving in with someone or starting a business with someone. Like you're building a life with someone. Or you are manifesting this energy. And it's almost like you are so focused on this big picture, on this long term, on this end game, that you're not settling for just anyone. Because an emperor is a very, very powerful energy. But it feels like you are building the life of your dreams. You're building your dream life, your dream home. And it feels like you're doing that with someone else. And maybe that's not even necessarily romantic for everybody, but it's like you're really focused on that big picture, that long term, that end goal for you when it comes to relationships and when it comes to your heart. And we have the Hanged One, Pisces energy, Neptune. And again, this is very long term. This is very big picture. I don't feel like this is something that is happening overnight because oftentimes the Hanged One represents delays. It represents perspective shifts. There's like this internal process that is happening. And it's interesting that I kind of forgot about relationships for you, Virgo, because it's like there's not necessarily a lot of movement this month here, or it's like it's a work in progress, and it's going to take patience. It's going to take time, and there may be some delays with things in relationships as well, but I really do just love seeing the Emperor with the Ten of Pentacles. It's worth waiting for. You know, whatever it is that you're talking about with love, or whatever it is that you're thinking about with love, it's going to be worth the wait. It's going to be worth the wait, or it was worth the wait. Maybe for some of you, you are actually realizing it, but I think a lot of you, there's something with a relationship or something with a partnership where something is still in progress. You're still waiting on something. But it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. And maybe you're planning your future with someone as well, and kind of divining into that, feeling into that more with the Hanged One. Anyways, Virgo, those are all the messages I have for you for real this time. I do hope that this was helpful. I hope it gave you some things to think about. Again, all of my links are in the description box down below. Readings, Reiki sessions. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and the bell notification so you don't miss out on any videos or any updates. There are donations for those of you who feel so called as well. We are in tax season after all. I know things are tight for people, but I also appreciate any sort of support you'd like to give to this channel. And yeah, I think that's everything. Take care, Virgo. See you next time.